So here I have a Kriss Vector 10mm. You can see there's no magazine, nothing in the chamber, empty firearm. What we have here is this stabilizing brace, as this is a pistol legally, not a short barrel rifle or any other combination. So we have this stabilizing brace that has been attached. This stabilizing brace does quite a good job, and I've been very happy with it. However, one of the things I don't like is that you have to depress the button here in order to fold or straighten the brace. What this causes for me is a rather cumbersome operation when I'm trying to remove this from a bag container. If I wanted to deploy it quickly, this places an unnatural, non-smooth movement. What I would much prefer is if I could just simply pull this out and shoulder. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the bench and we're going to modify this particular piece to not lock in this position. Now what that means is if I were to shoot the firearm this way, which I don't intend on doing, but had I, this piece would be able to, on its own, straighten and lock. I don't see that as a negative, as I rarely use this without the stabilizing brace. So what we're going to do is go over to the bench, remove the stabilizing brace from the platform, disassemble it, and modify some of the internal components to allow it to still fully lock in this position, but down here be able to be simply pulled and snap into position. So let's go over to the bench and take care of this. To remove the stabilizing brace, we need two different tools. We need a number 4 hex wrench that'll allow us to remove the brace from the platform, and a 2.5 hex wrench that will allow us to remove the spring hinge assembly. In order to remove the folding brace, take a number 4 and we insert, there's a top screw in a recessed hole. So we simply remove this screw. Now, if you're not familiar with the Kriss Vector line of firearms, it's very interesting what they've done in this Gen 2 brace. I'm sorry, the Gen 2 frame. The brace that fits it also fits standard AR components. All right, so we have our nut. We just pull this straight out. We're going to work on this in a moment, but first I wanted to show you. Inside of here is the same threading that is used on the AR platform. So if you have other braces and stocks that fit your AR platform, they will also fit this Gen 2 frame from Kriss Vector. All right, we're going to set the firearm aside and now focus on the stabilizing brace. There's a small washer, steel ring that goes around here. We'll put that aside with our bolt. And here's the assembly I was speaking of. Press, lock, press, lock. Within here is a wedge. This locking wedge is what keeps this locked in this position, and it locks into this slot, boom, when we put it in place. Now to fold that again, we would depress, and it locks in this slot. What we're going to do is we're going to modify right inside of here and put a bevel that will allow this piece to be depressed automatically when we unfold the stock. That will allow us to simply pull it when we want to go. This wrench comes in. As with any spring-loaded component, just be aware that when you are removing this, that there is a spring to be concerned with. This one does not shoot out, it's very small, but just be aware that it is there so you don't lose that during disassembly. Okay, so now we'll be able to remove this on the underside. There we go. And take our wedge out. There we go. Now, without these being assembled, we can see how this works. This wedge has a small piece that fits right into a slot here, so that when we're flipping this in and out, it can lock in those two positions. This is what we're going to modify. Okay, what we're going to do here is temporarily assemble these components without the pin, just for a little bit of visual reference. So we'll put our wedge back in the bottom where it originally was. There we go. And this would simulate the forearm brace being locked in the extended position. When you press the pin, the wedge rises upward, technically falls lower, depending upon your orientation, and then allows this to pivot. Now as it pivots out, that wedge will again lock in to a slot on the forearm brace. What we are going to do is bevel this corner in here to allow that wedge to be dynamically depressed when we pivot this out. So we're going to, again, disassemble this. Drop that back in now that we're not locked, and get a little bit of a visual reference. So you can see right here, as we're coming back in, I hope this comes up on camera, and that pin pops into that hole. So when we depress the button normally, it pushes that pin outward. What we want to do is when we rotate this, we want a bevel on here that will automatically depress this inner wedge for us. Go ahead and get those apart. So let's get a little bit better view of what's going on. Inside, when we're in the folded position, this is how the parts are oriented. Okay. We can see that when we go to straighten it, this depresses and turns, and then locks into the straight mode. So what we want is to put a bevel right here, nice slow bevel, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a lip to hopefully just catch this some so it doesn't fall open on its own, but giving it a nice pull will work well. So we're going to mark this, and we want to bevel something like this. So we're just going to go in very carefully and slowly grind away at this until we get it where we want it. Okay, as stated, we're going to be grinding off this corner, and we want to kind of do that at a compound angle. So here, this small wedge will go nearly down to the valley, but we'll bevel that up throughout the entire distance of this area here. So this will be near, this will go down inside, so this will have a very, very short radius on the bevel and a much longer radius on the bevel over here. What I've set up to do that is a small carbide burr and a Dremel. So we're going to go ahead and start doing this and see where we end up. Well, as you can see, clearly made of aluminum. Let's go ahead and do a test fit here. When folded, you can see we're still catching in there, so we have a little bit more to do. Let me go ahead and move this out just a smidge. And we'll try that with a little more clearance. There we go. Working exactly as I had anticipated. So what I have to do is clear this internal area here just a bit more and bring that radius up. Working quite well so far. Okay, back to the Dremel. Okay, we've got the majority of the roughing work done. I'm going to change this carbide out for a grinding bit, and we'll come back and smooth and polish that. Okay, here we are, and you can see I've changed out to a grinding bit. We're going to polish that surface up a little bit. Okay, here we go. Let's clean things up and do a little test fit. Place our wedge back in the bottom. Okay, great. Nice lock up in the straight position. There we go. And if we were folded and under tension, alright, I've got a little bit more I have to relieve deep inside. I can see right down in there on the internal end. It needs to be relieved a little bit more. But once that's done, I'll very easily be able to swing this open from the closed position. So back to the Dremel for just a bit. Alright, back for another test fit here. Here we go, and this is what was previously the locked position. And as you can see now, it no longer locks in the folded position. However, it locks in this position. So we're going to go and reassemble this and place it back on the firearm and give a review and evaluation of how we did. Once this is done and assembled, what I will do is do a little hand filing. There's a little bit of a burr on some of these edges. It's a little bit uneven. However, this is aluminum. It'll wear in very, very quickly, but I'm going to hand file it to make that a little smoother. Okay. So for now, though, let's reassemble. That Dremel just makes a mess everywhere. Wedge in the bottom, pin and spring. Back to our 2.5 Allen wrench. There we go, nice and snug. Okay, locked. Previously a locked position pops right into locked. Look at that. Okay, we'll bring the firearm back over here. Place our ring back over. Insert our forearm brace into the rear. Grab our other hex wrench. Tighten it up. There we go. Now we'll set up for the full shot so you can see the difference. Here we are again with our Kriss Vector 10mm. No magazine, nothing in the chamber. If you recall, earlier in the video, in order to extend this forearm brace, we had to depress the button, rotate the forearm brace into a locked position. We were ready to go. To close it, press the button and swing it closed. Now in this position, it previously locked. As you can see now, on modifications, do not lock it in that position. If this item is stored in a small compact area, but I wish to quickly deploy it, I now can simply retrieve it from where it's stored, flip this out, and I'm ready to go. I don't have to worry about awkward, fumbling manipulations in the middle of anything. It's very fast to deploy. This is a great mod. If you like it, I'd love to hear about it. If you don't like it, I'd really love to hear about it. And I'll try and get some close-ups of what we did with before and afters in those shots as well. I hope you enjoy, and I hope this mod helps you out.